Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Jake. You can also call me Atrocious, and today we're broadcasting the finals of the EB02 Japan final. Been a long way coming. We've had a lot of videos that we've done unique English commentary, and if you missed any of them or maybe want to see some of the old matches, you can go check out the playlist that I have on my channel. I've commentated every single one of the 9 rounds in this tournament, especially once this releases. But also want to mention that I am not the official live stream. If you do want to watch this, you don't want to hear me talk or anything like that, show the official deck list, none of that stuff, feel free to click the link in the description below. They do a great job on these broadcasts. I love watching them. But let's hear from a word from our sponsor. Whether you love opening packs or going out to buy singles, make sure to log all your cards on your phone through OP TCG DEX. It's the ultimate companion app for all things One Piece trading card game. Whether you're collecting cards, building decks, or looking to level up your game, this app has you covered. Listen, there's a lot of perks within this app on your phone. If you're like me and don't remember what amounts of cards you have, there's a really easy filter system within the app. And honestly, that's just scratching the surface of this app. You can download this app for free on both the App Store and Google Play Store. But you can also get the pro version of this app free for 30 days just by using my code Atrocious. I mean, honestly, it's a win-win. You get a great app that I use to be able to log my cards, right? And you can do it as well. And you're helping support the channel for free. The download link and instructions to redeem your trial are in the description below. Don't miss out now. Check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments. 2 new decks have hit the scene in this final, right? The first one that we got is Smoker. If you do not know Smoker, one of the OP10 decks that people are very excited to play on opponent's turn. Navy or Punk Hazard type characters on your field gain 1,000 power, but also has an activate main once per turn. If you have a character with 7,000 power or more, you can set to Dawn as active. So especially when you have the 5-cost Smoker, right, that is a base 7,000 power character, you'll be able to restand a lot of Dawn in this deck as well. Green Purple Luffy also does a lot with reusing Dawn, right? A really cool effect on this guy. 4 life, 5,000 power, Straw Hat Crew, activate main once per turn, Dawn -2. If you have only Straw Hat Crew type characters in play, set up to 2 of your rested Dawn cards as active, and then this leader gains 1,000 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. Green Purple Luffy has stolen the show at this EB02 Championships, right? Heading into this event, out of the 63 players that have entered, 19 of them have played this archetype, right? Every day since its release in Japan. It has won majority tournaments, right? Heading into this. So, such a good deck, super interesting and flows really, really well. But I know that this deck has a little bit of different choices than what a lot of people thought of heading into this event. Some of the deck lists that we've seen, and don't worry, we'll go over both deck lists before the end of the video, but it's got to get through Smoker, right? And so it's going to be curious if it can do it again. We saw it beat a Green Purple Luffy earlier in this tournament on the channel. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen that video, but it's going to be an interesting one, right? 5-cost characters are so important for both of these decks. The Green Purple Luffy using the Sanji Pudding and the Smoker using the Smoker characters. And so looks like in this hand, we're starting to see one of the tech cards that make this very interesting. The 6-cost Brook that came out in OP09. Very, very cool card, in my opinion, to see within this deck. You've also got some Uso Hachis in there. I think there was a Sanji Pudding and a Searcher event as well. The Smoker deck looks like they have a couple interesting spots in their hand. Got a 1-drop Virgo, right, to be able to search for a Punk Hazard type character. You also got the Monet, Baccarat, right? Excellent cards in this deck that maybe surprised a couple people heading into this event. And you also have a Tony Chopper blocker right there as a nice 2K, and a Sanji. We haven't seen the Sanji yet played by this player in the tournament. Going to be interesting to see if we see it in this one, right? Green Purple Luffy not really having many removal effects, so it could be interesting to see it played down within this match. Looks like the Green Purple Luffy is going to be going first within this matchup. Has that 1-drop event to utilize when you're at sea, you fight pirates. And we're off. Going ahead with that first event right there. Going to be looking for Straw Hat, Heart Pirates, or Kid Pirates types. And so grabs that Going Merry stage, very important in a lot of different matchups, right? Gaining that +2 cost and also just a draw effect as well on there. You also saw Thunder Bagua, right? Thunder Bagua, a couple copies in that green-purple Luffy deck. And the Smoker player right now plays that 1-drop of his own to search. That Virgo going to be finding a 5-cost Smoker, instrumental to the deck. Definitely a grabbing on the top deck, getting that Chopper as well. The Luffy going out swinging 5 and taking that life right away is going to go ahead, use that Going Merry, and with the other 1 cost that they've got right there, just plays another Going Merry. In my opinion, a great stage for this deck to be able to continuously draw, right? Replaces itself in its hand and ends off the turn with a Nami, another great search. So both players being able to set up their hands very nicely, in my opinion. Going to be nice to see how this game evolves and continues. Looks like a fair match, and finds a Zorojuro in this first search on the Nami. The Zorojuro, really good card for this deck. If you don't have it, make sure that you go get them in preparation for this deck. Still a relatively cheap SR from the starter deck. Is going to be very nice to find more pieces heading into the next turn. And with the 5k swing, takes it both people at 3 life. Plays that Tony Chopper, and if you do not know, that Tony Chopper, a nice blocker, gains 2,000 on an opponent's turn, making it a 6,000 power blocker, but with the leader effect becomes a 7,000 power blocker for just 4 Dawn. So useful in a lot of situations. The Luffy on 5 is going to go ahead, play their Sanji Pudding on curve, go in and use leader effect, right? This is kind of the cycle that we see with this deck. Being able to put 2 Dawn back for leader effect, and because of the Sanji Pudding, is going to re-ramp 1 active Dawn, and you restand 2 from the Luffy effect on there. Is going to go ahead and use the stage effect, a +2 cost, the Sanji Pudding, just in case there's anything that could rest it right off of something like a trigger. Also make it 8,000 power, and with the 7,000 power swing is going to go ahead and block and counter right there, because you know that there's no other swings that are going to be coming in this game, and finishes off the turn with a nice little Nami. The Nami is going to be able to find a certain piece if they want to on here. No other Sanji Pudding, but you've got at least an Usohachi 2k to add to your hand, because you also have the Zorojuro, right? The Zorojuro going to be very nice to find more pieces as well, and passes off the turn. Moving into the Smokers 6 Dawn turn, we'll see if they play that 5-drop on this turn. The 5-drop's going to be able to restand a couple Dawn. You could play another Tony Chopper blocker in this turn if you want, right? Rest 5 and then restand 3 in combination with the Smoker effects of both leader and character. Looks like with this 6,000 power swing, though, matching the 6,000 power leader, right? Because Luffy used that leader effect in the last turn, is just going to go ahead, play that Smoker, go ahead, use that restand effect to put 3 Dawn up, and then use that 3 to go ahead and play the Sanji. The Sanji is going to be really, really cool, right? Because on the offensive, it's a 6,000 power character, and on play, you draw a card on top of that, replaces itself in the hand. Very, very interesting for this matchup. Gonna have to use a resting effect in order to get rid of this character, but I will tell you right now that this Luffy does not play the 4-drop green EB02 Roronoa Zoro. And so now on a 6 Dawn turn, right, because we use those Dawn effects to put Dawn back into our deck, I don't believe we have another Sanji Pudding that we can play at this point right now, and so might have to go in and play a Zorojuro in order to have it go, but is thinking about resting all of the Dawn for the 6-drop or a Brook, and looks like Brook is hooding down on the field. Really cool card, right? A surprise heading into this tournament. 6 cost, 7,000 power, has a when attacking effect. You can return 1 or more Dawn to your Dawn deck, and up to 2 of your opponent's characters gets minus 2,000 power for the turn. Really good into the Doflamingo matchup, right? Being able to minus those characters as you go in and battle them with your different ones on the field. Is going to go ahead and use the leader effect to get 1 Dawn back, and restand 2 to stick at 3 at this point, and maybe is thinking about just moving around the Dawn right now, and maybe swinging with something like Nami potentially, but starts off with a 7,000 power swing. I do like this as your first swing, right? Just a non-committal Dawn swing to really see how your opponent reacts to this, right? Do they take a life right here? It looks like they are going to take a life, keep this blocker alive. So uses the 2 to put up the Sanji pudding, and with the 1 swings another 7 right here. 7's kind of the name of the game against 4 life 5,000 power leaders, and it looks like they do have another Sanji pudding in hand, so interesting not to play that down, really prioritizing the Brook in response to the Smoker and Sanji being on the field. I do kind of like this play a little bit. You can play the Sanji in the next turn if you want, but with this swing right here is just going to take a life again. We've seen the Smoker player not be afraid to go down to 1 life in these matches. Does have a Eustace Captain Kid to potentially be able to play on this 8 Dawn turn, and with the different restand effects that you have, you could actually put and use the Kid effect to lay down that Rosinante, right? You do have to be wary about the Brook though, because the Brook minusing that power by 2,000 right on the attack. You'll have to defend against a 6,000 power Kid, so another really good insight in terms of getting rid of these characters, right? Maybe waiting on another Sanji pudding and instead doing the Brook to really apply a lot of pressure at a point. We'll see exactly what he does. Looks like he's resting all 8 of them right now for that Kid. Just gonna go in with this play right now, and then on the restand effect, restand 3 Dawn based on the leader and Smoker effects, and then we'll see exactly what he decides to do right here. Is going to go ahead, attach 1 to the Kid and play down a character. Is he going to go in with the Monet, right? Play that down, or is he going to stick with the Rosinante? I think with the Monet, right? With the Monet, this is a really interesting play because you can use the Activate main to rest, put 2 Dawn on a leader or a character, right? Attaching it to the Sanji, minus 1,000 to another character on the field, which is that Sanji pudding. And now with the 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 power that the Sanji has, you're swinging 8,000 power at the 6,000 power Sanji pudding, and you still have 2 Dawn up to be able to play down a Rosinante, maybe over this Monet to boost up the defense right for you on this turn. Getting rid of this Sanji pudding right here is huge, I think, for the game plan, right? You really want to control that part, but decides to instead attach 1 and swing 8,000 power banish with the Smoker right here. Really just trying to hope that with the KO that they just had, maybe they don't have a lot of counter, and so you can kind of restrict the hand to be able to get a life off of there, or just really try to take a couple cards, right? 8,000 power swing on a 6,000 power leader is going to command a 2K, 1K combo, right? Or just any sort of 2-card combo. Gum Gum Giant might be a thing, but again, 2-card combo. And so it looks like they're actually just taking a life. It's another Thunder Bagua right there that hits the trash and goes ahead, swings 6 at lead. Just a quick counter out of the other Brook in your hand, and we pass off the turn to the green-purple Luffy. What are you going to do at this point? Remember that when attacking, right, you do have to put back 1 or 2 more Dawn. And especially since a Sanji is gone on the field, you could lose a Dawn and then have to leader effect as well to be able to get the Sanji pudding effect off in general. And you're only getting 1 Dawn back, right, for putting 3 away. So this is kind of a costly situation, I feel like, right now. For the green-purple Luffy, does get that Sanji pudding down to draw 1 card. And we'll see if they decide to use leader effect first or the Brook effect at this point. Looks like it is going to be the leader. Restand those Dawn. And you do have 1 left of the rested Dawn to be able to use for the Brook. Definitely think if you're going to swing at the Kid, you use the Brook first. And you don't have to have a Dawn attached to the Brook either when swinging. So if you just go ahead and swing a regular swing, no Dawn attached, that's going to be 7,000 power against a 6,000 power if that's the route you want to go. And so is going to attach 1, make it an 8,000 power swing, and looks like is going to minus the Tony Chopper and the Kid. I do like this play, right? Is going to force more cards, putting that Tony Chopper to 5,000, but just goes 2K, 1K to get out of that 8,000 power swing, right? Put that Kid at 9,000. It is, though, for the rest of the turn. So if this leader swings at the Kid, are you going to be able to defend it? You do have another Tony Chopper and Rosinante in hand, as well as Ben Beckman with counter. So it is entirely possible that you're going to be able to do it. But do you go after the Monet, right? The Monet could be really, really nice in getting rid of one of these 7,000 power characters without swinging at it, because Ben Beckman trashes a 6,000 power or less, and your Sanji Pudding and Brook are 6,000 power. So accidentally flicking off the top card of the deck is probably just going to reveal both to the players, because there was technically extra info gained by accident. That kind of happens sometimes as you're taking the top cards of your deck, right? No harm, no foul. Probably just going to either put it on the bottom or shuffle up the deck or something of the sort before they finalize this search effect using a 1-cost event. And it looks like, see, it's already fixed. And so you have the Brook right there. Going to be grabbing that, maybe thinking about playing it down again in the next turn potentially, or maybe just grabbing some sort of counter. And so now is going to swing 8 and use the blocker, right, of the Tony Chopper. I do kind of like this because you have another one in hand that you can play down if you want, but you're going to be able to get rid of this Brook pretty easily, I feel like, just with Ben Beckman in itself. And another kid hits the hand. Another kid could be really interesting, but you would have 5 characters on field, so I don't know if it's worth it. But starts off with an 8,000 power Smoker Banish swing. I don't know if this is at the Brook or life. It's probably at life, right? You want to rush them down in a sense because you feel a little bit more defensive at a lot of times as the Smoker. And so does have 1 Dawn up. Can't really tell if they have Gum Gum Giant in hand because they're covering sort of half of their hand that they have in there. But you got to be thinking about, if you're the Smoker player, right? If they do have Gum Gum Giant, that actually might work really well for me, even though they would be able to get out of some of these attacks, because that would put them at 3 Dawn left in this turn, and then they would only go up to a 5 Dawn turn. Makes it really, really difficult at times to be able to utilize with all this minusing effect. So ends up doing the banish, right? So goes into the trash, swings 6,000 with the Sanji, just is a nice 1K to get out of that one. Another 6K swing from this Smoker. Still has 8 Dawn left with what they want to utilize. Is going to go ahead and use this Monet. You don't get the rested Dawn, but it allows you to minus that 1,000 power on the Sanji Pudding. And it looks like a Ben Beckman coming down now gets rid of that Sanji Pudding and says, all right, here we go. I'm going to restand these 3 Dawn. Go up to 4 in total, and I'm going to attach them all to Kid, and I'm going to swing at you right now. This is a 12,000 power swing as a 6,000 power leader. Can you get out of it? And no, he just gives it up right there. That's going to be it. Smoker is going to be the winner of this championship. Honestly, like, 2 fast decks, I feel like, right? Green Purple Luffy, although it has to manipulate a ton of Dawn, right? And the Smoker gets into kind of a fortress mode with the Eustace Captain Kid, right? Being a huge stalling point for a lot of decks. Really just put on the dominance in this game. Like, this Smoker deck, I think, was really built around to beat decks like the Green Purple Luffy. Such a cool thing to see in this event. A great meta call, especially, and if you're looking to counter the deck, Green Purple Luffy, honestly, probably a pretty good counter. But we got to look at the official deck list from this event. And so here's the Green Purple Luffy list that we have in this match. Honestly, a pretty cool list in my personal opinion. I like the different tech choices that are in here. They make a lot of sense, right? We talked about Brook and kind of showcased it in that game, how Brook allows you to really battle out different swarm type decks, right? Very reminiscent of the OP01 Brook, right? Used in some decks like PRB Sanji and stuff like that, and then we saw in the early stages of the game. I'm sure has plenty other benefits in terms of the matchups, and especially with 6. 6 is a really sticky character that is hard to get rid of, right? In Doflamingo, the only thing you can use is Gravity Blade, right? And with Marshall D. Teach, right? A black hole is not going to get rid of this without some cost minusing first, resting your Von Augur or something like that. And especially with the Going Merry stage, right? Going Merry allows you to +2 cost until the end of your opponent's next turn, would be able to put this Brook out of a Gravity Blade range, or maybe even with Blackbeard, gets it out of a Von Augur -3, puts it at a 5 cost. You can't just black hole it right there. So really provides a lot of problems and is a sticky character, and even 7,000 power, right? We even showed in this game how you have to have some power minus in order to use Ben Beckman. So against those red decks like Shanks, right, is popular. It's just a good counter against that. Really, really love this Brook card in the deck. Another one, Thunder Bagua. We didn't see it within this match, but you saw a couple different times. There's several situations where you leave a couple Dawn up, right, that you did not use, whether that's for a Gum Gum Giant, could also be for Thunder Bagua. Thunder Bagua is also really, really cool, especially at the later stages of the game, right? Being able to use this event to not only gain 4,000 power and get out of an attack, but be able to re-ramp yourself if you're in a situation like the player where you're stuck constantly putting yourself at low counts of Dawn because of different effects like the leader effect, like the Brook, right? Or even something like a Luffy. Tony Chopper is also a really interesting choice, right? Not a Straw Hat Crew type character that you can find off of something like the Robin search, or even the When You're at Sea You Fight Pirates search, or even Nami, right? The 1-drop searcher from EB02. It is a really nice, like, kind of final end of the play, like being able to not only have a chum blocker on field, but also re-ramp a Dawn, right, as rested. Because probably around the time when you're in those equal weird moments of, like I talked about in Thunder Bagua, where like, oh, I just have to leave 2 Dawn up. If you don't have a Thunder Bagua or anything, but at that stage of the game, you're probably behind on Dawn because of leader effect and stuff like that, well, you can just play that Tony Chopper down and set yourself up well for the next turn. Definitely a really, really cool deck. If you've been on the channel for a couple weeks now, right, I love this deck. I think it's so fun and I think it's so cool, and definitely one that I am going to be aiming to maybe play towards once this comes out in the West. The Smoker deck, though, you're going to be able to play this a little bit earlier as another cool deck, right? Not playing any EB02 cards, just playing starter deck 21. We didn't really see it in this match, but if you watch the previous video on the channel, right, the top 4 match, Gum Gum Mole Pistol was incredible in this deck, right? Being able to minus 5,000 to a character, whether you're trying to KO it from the other effect on this card, or maybe just because you want something easier to KO in battle, this provides so much value, especially for the little support characters that are not going to be swinging that cause you such a problem like Marshall D. Teach in this match. We saw a bit of the Monet as well. A really nice character for this deck. Again, kind of manipulating the Dawn cards, right, that you rest for your different character effects, and then being able to minus 1,000 power a character that you are going to swing into and try to KO, whether that's for the Ben Beckman, like I mentioned, right, being able to trash a 6,000 power character or less allows you to go ahead and trash a 7,000 character with the Monet, but also an interesting interaction if you have the Smoker on the field, right, with that activate main, or even the Smoker leader on the field. Even just the Smoker leader. With the Gum Gum Mole Pistol, you're able to minus 5,000 of a character on the field. And if you already had Monet on the field, right, that's kind of minus 7,000 power in general. So this Ben Beckman can trash anything in the game if you're able to restand one of the Dawn that you rested for the Gum Gum Mole Pistol. The combos in this deck are so interesting, and that doesn't even factor in Eustace Captain Kidd, right? One of those OP01 SRs that are so good in the game, established in a ton of different green decks, right? And Hody Jones, we didn't even see Hody Jones in this game, but I can tell you from the previous rounds and the previous videos that Hody Jones is a great card in this deck, especially when you put up the Fortress mode, right, of the Eustace Captain Kidd, Rosinante, the 3-cost SR Tashigi. There's just so much cool stuff in this deck. I could talk about this deck all the time. We didn't even talk about Baccarat in here, this blocker that essentially makes any card in your deck a 2K, which is such good value. So cool. Absolutely love this deck. Huge fan of this tournament. I thought there was a lot of great stuff, and I thought they also broadcast a great variety of matches as well on top of that. And again, if you missed any of the matches on this and you want to go through them and watch them with my unique English commentary, again, not affiliated with Bandai yet, hopefully, you can go check out the playlist that I have on my channel. And I have playlists of literally any tournament that I've ever covered. So if you want to watch anything from the OP10 meta, right? Every single OP10 tournament that they've broadcasted, I have videos of. If you're trying to get a gauge of some of the decks that you can play, some of the moves that you can make, and what you can expect in the meta. Or maybe if you're practicing for the treasure cups that are going on this month, right? I've got a ton of OP09 matches as well. And that's going to be it. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed this tournament as well. If you've also made it this far, let me know. Would you rather me live stream these tournaments? I can't do it until like probably the summer, but what I'm thinking about maybe doing in the future is live streaming my commentary in the tournaments, right? And then just like between rounds going over the deck list, some of the plays with you guys live. It would kind of replace the videos a little bit, but I would have a lot more regularly scheduled videos to prepare for because I'd have a lot more time in the summer. And so kind of an interesting thing that I might want to try out, especially when the summer starts, especially because after Worlds, we're going to have a break from tournaments until like April, May, I think. So yeah, let me know. Thank you again so much for watching and supporting, and I'll see you in the next video.